Hello, folks. I'm back again. And just a quick little note before we get started with the reviews in this video. This is going to be another catch-up video, much just like the one I did several months ago where we reviewed 4 movies in one video. Why, you ask? Because, well, things got busy for me. Not at my job, but at home. Celebrated wedding anniversary, made some artwork, did a little traveling, made some accessories for my Halloween costume, then Thanksgiving, and now Christmas is just around the corner, so I've been setting up Christmas decorations in our front yard. So it's been busy for me, as I'm sure it has been for many of you out there. But I did get a chance to watch several movies over the course of time. 2 of those movies are a couple of months old, and I apologize. I'm sure you probably don't want to hear my opinion about those movies because you probably already heard about what happened, or you probably already watched them yourselves. But I'll give a little walkthrough, skim through of those 2 movies. The other 2 movies are more recent, so I'll give a more detailed review as I always do, I should say. So I'll do my best to keep the video short. No guarantees on that. You already know how I operate, but I'll do my best. Okay? So, having said all of that, let's do this. Okay, I'm back. So, Black Adam, right here. Released back in October, just not getting to review it. I apologize. So, anyway, quick history lesson on Black Adam. I don't know too terribly much about him other than the fact that he was given the powers of Shazam, the wizard, who gives the people that he deems worthy their powers, and he basically went rogue. So that's when he took in Billy Batson and gave him the powers. He gave him his powers, okay? Captain Marvel, not Carol Danvers of Marvel, but Captain Marvel, as you know as Shazam, that was actually his name, Captain Marvel. Had nothing to do with Marvel, but legal issues came about, and, well, we decided to call him Shazam instead. But I still refer to him as Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel, who predates all of the Marvel characters and many, well, I think even many of the DC characters as well. I think even Superman. So I think they were owned by, I think it starts with an F, Fawcett Comics or something like that, but DC bought them out decades and decades ago. So that's how Captain Marvel landed within the DC universe, basically, at that point in time. And Shazam, which is an acronym technically for the names of certain Greek gods who his powers derive from, spell out the name Shazam. Now, I learned recently, as far as Black Adam goes, Black Adam, which very recently, I guess within the last 5 years, Black Adam, his name, the name he uses, Shazam, actually derives from Egyptian names, which that wasn't that way before. It was just your typical, Shazam, Captain Adam and Black Adam, Black Adam and Captain Marvel were arches. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So, but they actually retconned and changed the story in the comic, like I said, within the last 5 years. So now it's this. And they use the retcon in this movie to tell his story, basically. So, quick history lesson, of course. So, in this, they like I said, follow the comics from the last maybe 5 years at most, and Black Adam is basically he's not a hero, he's not an anti-hero, he's not a villain. He's just there. He's there to protect the people of his country. He's the people's protector. He's the champion of the people, which is why, of course, The Rock right here, back there too, is playing the character. Obviously, that was his moniker back during his days in the WWF. He was the people's champion. So, yeah, the part was basically made for him. All right. So, we have The Rock starring as this character, and let's be honest, okay? The Rock doesn't play weak or soft characters. He always plays badass characters, and he's always said that, basically. When you ever see him in an interview and he's talking about a character that he's playing, he always brings up the fact that he's a badass, always. So I mean, and yes, Black Adam is a badass in this. So, The Rock is basically playing himself, and admittedly, in all honesty, there can be some times where there's something wrong with it, and there's sometimes where it isn't. In this, I think he actually does a good job. But this role was made for him, and his charisma just pours out, even as just their character, basically. So, you have this story. I mean, you have a lot of Easter eggs in this. The mention of Intergang, which is a pretty dominant force in DC Comics. You also have the mention of Nth Metal, which is the metal that comes from that is used to make the mace of Hawkman and Hawkgirl. That comes from their planet, and you have a few other Easter eggs as well, including one other Easter egg. I'm not spoiling this for you, but at the post-credit scene, Superman comes in. This is supposed to be a soft reboot of the DC movie universe, basically. So they fought hard to get Superman into this, Henry Cavill into this, because they basically want to let him go. It's all done and over with now, so it's basically official that Henry Cavill is Superman, and he's part of this whole reboot. So, as far as this movie goes, special effects are great. CGI special effects are great. They introduced the Justice Society of America, which some of the members are in this, and some of the members that technically weren't in this in the group. Basically, so which isn't bad, but at the same time, it's kind of bad because there's no explanation as to their past. So I think it would have. I think, and I understand you can't introduce the Justice League and things like that in this, because again, this project was okay after the Justice League movies and things like that, the Zack Snyder versions of the Justice League, and what he had planned for the DC cinematic universe. So, basically, and Amanda Waller makes an appearance as this as well. So again, it kind of confirms that this is technically basically a soft reboot. And since this movie did do pretty good, I think it's safe to say that they're going to continue on with this. So, some of the characters in the Justice Society, like I said, Dr. Fate, excellent. I think he predates Doctor Strange. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that. Hawkman, which predates Falcon, but again, like I said in my Wakanda Forever review, it seems like DC and Marvel have always been head-to-head competition with each other. So Marvel says, we got a black man with wings and named after a bird that can fly. Well, DC is going to come along and say, well, we got a man that's named after a bird that has wings and can fly too. Oh, wait, but he's not black. Let's race swap him. So that's the only thing that's another thing that I have a problem with this movie as well, of course, is the race swap of characters. Atom Smasher, is a Latino, things like that. Again, make up your own characters. I mean, if you don't do the race swap or the gender swap stuff. Sorry, that's just me. Okay, you like it, more power to you. Excellent. So, Dr. Fate, I mean, great use. I like him. I think everybody will like him. Pierce Brosnan does a wonderful job playing him as well. I mean, actually, the majority of the characters do a good job playing their parts. Again, I think it would have been nice to have a little explanation, but as we've seen in the past with DC movies, they're just putting everyone together and then doing separate movies to explain their past and how they came to be, basically. So I think that's kind of what messes up everything as far as that goes. You probably won't care about them as much simply because you just don't know much about them. Now, story is not too bad. Pretty good, actually. This movie, basically, when it's all said and done, is like Sony's Venom. It's not supposed to be, oh my God, it blew my brains out kind of thing. It's supposed to be mindless fun. I mean, just enjoy it for what it is and just go along for the ride. And that's what I liked about the first Venom movie. That's what I like about this movie. Now, I would shave about maybe maybe 10 minutes off of it at most, because it is a little too long. Maybe not even 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. Let's go about 15 minutes. Shave about 15 minutes off, and it will be the perfect length. But because it did seem to kind of go on a little bit too long. But other than that, I think the movie was fine. As far as I'm concerned, go see it if you haven't watched it already. I would say full price, but I think now at this point, yeah, the movie's already had its run, and so it's either you can either see it for matinee or you can go see it at a dollar theater now. Unfortunately, sorry again, I was late with this. So that's gonna be it for Black Adam. On to the next. Okay, now the next one, One Piece, Red. Many of the general audience is not going to know what this is, and that's completely understandable. If you think The Simpsons, an American animated TV show, has been around for a long time and has a lot of episodes, One Piece in Japan, as far as the anime goes, has a ton more episodes, tons. And as far as the manga goes, has just about as much, if not more. Very popular in Japan, and the anime is very popular as well. And it spawned, I think, maybe somewhere around between 20 and 25 animated movies. This is one of them, obviously. So the latest one. So, and the creator, I can't think of his name right now, but the creator says he's been working on the manga since I think mid-90s, I think about 93, 94, and he says he's still not done yet, but he says he's getting close. So to being finished with all of this, with this whole journey that he's putting the crew through. So if you don't know about One Piece is a world where of pirates, and the world is primarily water. More water than, say, like the Earth is. And it's a world of pirates, but it's also a world where you can get special powers. How do you get those special powers? By eating what's called devil fruit. And the devil fruit gives you special powers. So say, like for Luffy, the main character in the manga, for example, who leads the Straw Hat Pirates, his crew, he's eaten the gum gum fruit, which allows him to stretch. He's become a rubber, quote unquote, rubber man. There are other powers that come with other different kinds of fruits, basically. But in a world that's primarily water and very little land, well, guess what? Devil fruit gives you powers, but it takes away your ability to swim. So you're kind of screwed. In a way, you can have you got a pro, but you sacrifice something, you get a con in an environment that's not going to be very kind to you. So anyway, this movie right here, I prefer to watch it subbed. There's something about watching watching anime and even Japanese movies subbed. I don't know why. I just prefer that moreover than watching them dubbed. Now, I will watch them dubbed, but that's just me. In my honest opinion, I just prefer sub for some reason. But in this, most of the movies, as far as One Piece go, they usually take place, they're kind of side stories. They take place outside of the arc that's going on in the anime itself. So, in this, the Straw Hat crew, they're, taking a break to go to a free concert given by Uta, which, is performed by voiced by a Japanese singer named Ado. I think it's more or less Ado. More than likely. You can correct me on that if you want to. But this is a free concert, and she wants to bring everybody together and make everyone happy, give everybody what they want, things like that, through the ability of music, basically. So, but she has ties to Luffy, and she and Luffy were childhood buddies, and her father is Shanks. Shanks is Luffy's, in a sense, mentor. So, things go crazy, and we find out what Uta is really kind of wanting to do. It's kind of a little bit of a sad story, but and she's a bit justified in what she's doing, of course. But and so it comes to a point to where pirates, some of the main pirate crews have to basically put a stop to her. So and One thing I will say about this is that the songs are pretty catchy. I actually downloaded the album. I kind of like the songs. So, and they're all in Japanese, of course. So, as far as this goes, just like most of the other one, like most of the One Piece movies, Luffy's the main character, and I get it. But my boy is Roronoa Zoro, and I love him. He's my favorite character. He's just like my Vegeta in One Piece, just like Vegeta is to Dragon Balls, to the Dragon Ball sagas. So I would love to see more him. My second favorite character is Robin. My third favorite is Brook, and then there's Sanji, and then there's Luffy. Everybody else just kind of falls to the wayside, unfortunately. But that's Sanji, by the way. And that's Luffy, by the way. So in all honesty, there are times when I really want to see more from my favorite characters. So, but I get it. I get it. It's Luffy's the main character, and he's the protagonist through of the whole of the entire saga. So, if you want to watch this, this came out in October as well. So it's probably had its run as well. Again, I'm sorry, I just now got a chance to review this. But story-wise, actually pretty good. I think you'll like it. General audiences may not care for it because it's not their thing. And believe me, just like The Simpsons, if you try to start from the beginning of this, you'll probably never catch up. If you don't know what's going on, you probably may as well just ignore it at this point because there's so much to catch up on when it comes to the anime or the manga. I mean, in all honesty. So unless you've been watching it for a long time or reading for a long time, this is for you. And I kind of like that. This is for the fans. If the general audience wants to watch it, great. But don't expect the movies or the anime to hold your hand, basically, or the manga to hold your hand and walk you through it. You need to be up to speed right then and there. If not, you're going to be completely lost. So for a general audience, I wouldn't worry about it. For the fans of the manga and the anime, I would say go ahead and watch it. It is a special movie that's being played both dubbed and subbed, and in selected theaters. Again, I think it's already had its run, so I don't know if there's any place that you can find it now. If you can, go watch it. Again, if you're a fan. If not, I wouldn't worry about it. There's too much here to try to catch up on. You may enjoy it just simply because of what it is, but if you don't know the characters, you don't know their personalities, you don't know their abilities, things like that, and you don't know this character, that character, that are connected to the Straw Hat Pirates, you're probably going to be lost in it. So, as far as I'm concerned, if you're a fan, it's worth it. If you're if you're part of the general audience, I wouldn't worry about it. Okay? So, on to the next. And now, on to our next feature film, Strange World from Disney. So, this movie, I'm going to do my best to cut it right down the middle right there. I think that's about the middle of your screen right there. I don't have good eyesight, obviously. So, just going to take a guess at that. So, anyway, as far as this movie goes, and I'm sure many of you have already heard about it and read about it and been told ABC XYZ about this movie already. So I'm not going to say terribly much about what's going on, okay? But you have one side, you have the other side, okay? Again, cutting it down the middle. For me, this movie, the plot, as far as plot wise goes, it is very much Journey to the Center of the Earth, and a mixture of Journey to the Center of the Earth and Avatar, not the Airbender, the Last Airbender, but Avatar, the James Cameron version of it. And it does have that feel of the old movie serials that you see in some of the old TV shows and some of the old movies, you know, where you hear the announcer that I was just doing. Join us next time on the next episode of Narrowly Escapes as he makes his way through the jungle. So I kind of expected that, and in a sense you do kind of get that. So as far as this movie goes, but story-wise, the storytelling, the way it's written, the character development, it's meh. It's not really very good. I mean, I left the theater, coming out of the theater, and I just kind of just went, meh, what's next? And that was it. So, and there were other people around in the theater, including their children as well. And I just couldn't get a good feel of the audience, the rest of the audience. I mean, it just didn't seem like there wasn't very much interest in this. So that may be a bad thing right there. But let's get it out of the way. This movie checks all the boxes as far as representation and as far as inclusion goes. You have a interracial married couple who have a biracial child who is a part of the LGBTQIA plus community. You also have two strong women of color, and you have a disabled dog, a tripod. Let me clear that term up for you, okay? Just in case. I use that term because I don't know if any of you remember, but back in the mid-90s, when Kids WB first started out, there was this cartoon show called Waynehead that Damon Wayans created. Kind of sort of like how Bill Cosby created Fat Albert to tell stories of his childhood growing up in the hood, basically. Well, Waynehead was basically the same way. You had Damon Wayans as a kid and his siblings in the hood, and they had a neighborhood dog that was the barks and the whining was performed by the voice actor god Frank Welker, of course, and the dog had 3 legs, and they named him Tripod. So that's why I use the term tripod, because when I see an animal, a 4-legged animal, and it's missing a leg, I just automatically my mind goes back to that. And it's like, oh, it's a tripod. So I don't know if it's offensive or not. And oh, well, if it is, sorry, don't care. Anyway, this movie, as far as it all goes, I mean, again, everything is all showcased. None of the characters, none of the family members have no issue whatsoever with interracial marriage or biracial child or a gay son. So, it's all out in the open. I mean, it's normal. I mean, and so there's nothing to complain about. There's no oh, the child is uncomfortable about coming out to his parents or anything like that. Anything in that manner, anything at all like that. There is the part that I don't like is again, just like with most of the movies that I kind of reviewed in this video, of the absentee father. It kind of gets annoying. Look, I know many of us weren't fortunate enough to have our fathers in our lives. Some of us were fortunate enough to have our fathers in our lives, but I know that's the norm now, and that reflects society. But I really do think that there should be more consideration in showing active fathers in their children and families' lives. I mean, they do exist. Okay, so this movie is a little bit of a metaphor, and I'm not going to spoil that for you, spoil the big metaphor in this, but I mean, there is a part in this where, I mean, not a part, but in general, you can see where it kind of what they're kind of doing, the messaging in it of, you have the big, burly, strong, manly man of the past, and you have the skinny, lanky, more brainy man of the present, and you have the biracial LGBTQIA plus child that is of the teenager. I shouldn't say child. He's a teenager of the future, of the upcoming future, basically. So you can see a lot of things that are going on with that. Now, I have no issue with that whatsoever. The only issues that I have with this movie is the story overall. The writing is just not there, in my honest opinion. The character development isn't there. There is just not enough to sustain this movie, all right? But if on the other side of it, you do have the positives. You do have, well, not necessarily the positives, but one of the things that you do have about this is on a creative level is pretty interesting. The way they create the world, the way the way the world is created, and the way the creatures that inhabit this world, interact with the environment. It's kind of almost Dr. Seuss-like in a sense, and wouldn't be surprised if if the artists were probably inspired by it. So, I mean, that's one good thing about this. The other good thing that I have to bring up about this is what? If you watched my review of Wakanda Forever, I went on a tangent at the end of the review about creativity and creating new properties and making them your own. This right here, this has no ties to anything that's been created before, at least as far as Disney goes, or any other, most other properties go. I mean, yes, it's influenced, but still, it's not based on an established property. So guess what? You can do whatever you want with this. You want to have all of the inclusion, all of the diversity in this movie, go for it. You got it. Leave things that have already been established in the past. They were a product of their times, and it should stay that way. The old Looney Tune cartoons, the old Tom and Jerry cartoons, the old Tex Avery cartoons, yeah, they were racist, they were misogynistic, but they're a product of their time. Same thing with the Flintstones, the Jetsons, Scooby-Doo, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Kim Possible. They're all a product of their time. So instead of trying to take something that's already been created and remake it and reboot it with today's society and identity politics involved in it, create new stuff like this and do it all you want to. Leave Velma from Scooby-Doo alone, leave Namor alone, leave Hawkman, leave even Gizmo Duck from the 2017 DuckTales. Leave all of these people, these other characters alone, and make your own stuff, and do it by doing this. So, as far as all of this goes, again, the story-wise is pretty didactic, preachy, and so for me, it didn't work for me. For some people it may work, for some people it may not. So what I would recommend, this is just my personal recommendation, if you really, really are about, again, if you're moaning, whining, crying, and really are all about diversity and inclusion, go support this. Pay full price for it. Feed it money. That way they can make more and create more new stuff, and they can inject anything and everything socially and politically into it as much as they want to and make everybody happy. It checks any and all boxes. So support this thing. I mean, we've heard it about the WNBA. It's there, but there are very few women, if hardly any women, that actually take an interest in it. It was created for them, and they don't rake in any money because no one pays attention to it, not even the audience that it was created for. They still pay attention to the NBA. So the same should be said here. You want it, here it is. Pay attention to it. Feed it money, because if you don't feed it money, well, guess what? They're going to say, well, there's no interest in it. Nobody cares for it. Let's go back to rebooting and remaking old stuff and infusing it with today's politics and identity stuff. So, as far as I'm concerned, if you really are about this and you really want to support it, support that fight, that cause, go see it full price. It's probably going to be gone within a few weeks anyway, since from my understanding, it's a flop as far as Disney is concerned. It's a ba-bomb. Super Mario Brothers reference there. Okay. If you're not interested, then don't worry about it. You're probably not going to really miss anything, to be honest with you. If you are, curious, you want to see the creative side of it, or if you're that person, I've watched every Disney animated movie from Snow White all the way up to Encanto. So I got to see this. Okay, cool. Feel free to go do it. Feel free to watch it. I would probably, I wouldn't even go to the Dollar Theater to see it, which is probably going to be in within the next week or so. But it's going to come out on Disney. It's going to stream on Disney Plus within the next maybe couple of weeks to a month. So if you're already paying for Disney Plus or not, I mean, that's none of my business. If you already have some form of access to Disney Plus, may as well just wait until it comes on, streams on there, and watch it there if you want to. And that way you have the option of, you know, turning it off, saying this is garbage, I don't like this, or, you know, okay, I'm intrigued by it and whatnot. So that's all I got for this movie. So let's go on to the next. And welcome to the No Spoilers Cooking Show. Now, tell me, what do you get when you add a cup of Die Hard, a teaspoon of Home Alone, and a pinch of Grinch from How the Grinch Stole Christmas? Make sure you preheated your oven and stir thoroughly, and in an hour and 30 minutes later, you get Violent Night. Yes, Violent Night. Let me put this down. Violent Night. This is the movie that when I saw the trailer for it, I told myself I have to go see this. And it's true what I just said. It is basically Die Hard with Santa. And it really does a good job of convincing you that this is Santa. It's not a guy in a Santa suit or anything like that. This is actually Santa Claus, all right, from the North Pole. And well, in this movie, he's bitter, angry, jaded, and cynical because, well, he thinks that Christmas doesn't mean much to people anymore, especially the kids, because all the kids want are video games and high-tech gadgetry and electronics. So he calls it, you know what, after this Christmas, I'm done. I'm not doing Christmas anymore. So he's going off to deliver presents. And meanwhile, previously on X-Men, there's a family, a couple, married couple, and they have their child, and you can tell there's something going on just by what happens in the scene, basically. But they're going over to the husband's family's house for Christmas, and his family is very, very well off to do. Okay, so while they're there, John Leguizamo's character comes up and he decides that he wants to rob the family, and he's holding the family hostage in one of the rooms. And Santa happens to be there at the time, and you know they don't know that he's there, but they eventually find out. And now it's up to Santa to try to bring the bad guys down. Sound familiar, right? So the thing is that the people who made this movie and who are starring in this movie know, they are very, very well aware that this is a Die Hard knockoff. They know that this is a cheesy, corny story. They know that the particle and practical effects are not up to snuff. And, sorry, my light went out. So, I'm going to still go on anyway. So, anyway, they're very well aware of all of this stuff, and so they don't care. And they're just throwing it out there and saying, you know what, if you like it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. So Santa also has his own little, catchphrases as well. You know, John McClane, Bruce Willis, and Die Hard had yippee-ki-yay, mother, you know what? Well, Santa has his own catchphrase. Santa Claus is coming to town. Or, chestnuts roasting, I'm gonna open fire. Or, I'm gonna deck your halls. Or, I'm gonna parumpa-pum-pum on your face. He doesn't say all of that, but he does say one of them, or maybe two of them. I can't remember which ones. But, it's just like, yes, this is what I was expecting. This is what I wanted. Cool. I'm all down for that. So, as far as the story goes, it's almost beat for beat. There's a final fight at the end between Santa. And Santa, when the only reason that Santa is sticking around and the only reason he cares is because that one little girl in the family still believes in him. She's still very innocent, and she's on his nice list. That's the only reason why he really cares. And if there had been kids that were there that were on his naughty list, or if it was just all adults, he would have taken off, not giving a crap about it. But because this little girl is there and they're communicating with each other back and forth through walkie-talkies, and so if she wasn't there, she's the key component to this movie, basically. But if she wasn't there, he would have left and just abandoned it and just not given a crap about all of this. So, anything and everything that you know about the first Die Hard movie, you can kind of almost expect it. So again, but you already know that you're going into this. So again, it's kind of hokey, cheap, but to me, I was laughing throughout the whole movie, even throughout the majority of the movie anyway. I mean, just for the over-the-top violence. By the way, it is rated R, so no kids allowed. Unless you really want to. They're not my kids, they're yours. So do what you want. I think there's only one complaint that I have about this movie. Again, it's the men. It's like all of the men in this are either evil or useless or completely stupid or pathetic. I mean, and it's just like, okay, especially even in a sense, the father. And it's just like, they make the father look bad in this. I mean, and he does try, but it's like, wow, y'all really did kind of make him, he cares, but it's just like, come on, couldn't you give him one at least? So, but anyway, other than that, good movie. In all honesty, I came out of the theater going, unlike the other movies that I reviewed in this video, I came out of the movie theater going, you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel of this. I mean, I actually wouldn't mind even seeing a prequel of this. I want to see Santa go even more hardcore in this movie. So, I mean, in the next movie, if they do one. So, look, this movie isn't for everybody, and I understand that. You're not going to probably find the humor in it, and it is, again, over-the-top violence. So it's not going to be for everyone, and so therefore it's not. You may not care for it. I mean, it's not along the lines of Home Alone or Miracle on 34th Street or Christmas Vacation, any of the classic movies. Now, I mean, it is a guilty pleasure. I will say that. And I will say, you know what? I would add it to my list of classic Christmas movies if it were me. So, I mean, some people may. I mean, but, if it airs on TV, or I doubt if it probably will, but if it airs, I mean, you see that it's on TV, it's just like, oh, I have to watch this. This is such a cool movie. I want to watch. It's a guilty pleasure. So nothing wrong with that. For me, in all honesty, I would go as far as to say that this is I would say, for me, it was full price admission. For others, it may be matinee or just skip altogether. I guess it just depends on how you view Santa. And Santa's pretty rough in this. he kicks some butt. So anyway, he's pretty hardcore. So as far as I'm concerned, that's it for all of the movies. We did it again. 4 movies in one video. 4 movie reviews, I should say, in one video. So, I don't think there's any other movies that I'm interested in that are coming out for the rest of the month other than Puss in Boots. That comes out Christmas Eve, I think. Either Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. But I plan on watching that. I don't care about the Avatar sequel, not the Last Airbender, but the Way of the Water. I saw the first Avatar, and it's okay. I mean, it's visually spectacular, but as far as stories go, it's along the same lines as Dances with Wolves or any other movie, or Last of the Mohicans, things like that, or The Last Samurai, basically. So I'm not interested in it. I mean, it is what it is. So having said all of that, and since my light is out, so I guess that's it. And I'll see you next time.